Heat welcome Simone Fontecchio to their organization in the sign and trade with Duncan Robinson. Well, on today's episode of the Heat Report, there is a rumor out there that Miami could actually waive Simone before the month of August ends. I am Nic Rohloff. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. The report is coming from someone that is a European insider. Niko, I don't want to botch his last name, but the reporter has over 20,000 followers, and he said that Fontecchio may be waived by the Miami Heat. The Heat are considering waiving the player to avoid the luxury tax, and that specific European team that you see, I am also not going to botch it, is closely monitoring the situation of the Italian star whose potential return to Europe is emerging. And by the way, that European team is actually one of the best in the entire nation and best in their league. That they have Nigel Hayes, and they actually beat the Celtics in a preseason game. Now, you might ask, why would Miami waive Fontecchio? Well, if you did a waive and stretch of Simone Fontecchio, you would save about $5.7 million this year, which would get Miami about $3.9 million underneath the luxury tax. And you might be wondering what a waive and stretch is. I'll quickly explain. You just take what the year you have left on, add a couple years, and then you divide the money by 3. So it's pretty easily for Miami to where he's making 8.3 mil this year. You divide that by 3, so his dead cap would be 2.7, which is why you save the 5.7, and then you would have a $2.7 million dead cap hit in the next couple of years. And so Miami would then be under the luxury tax by the $3.9 million. Now, if they are going to do a waive and stretch of Fontecchio, there is a deadline for Miami. That deadline is August 29th. So if Miami cannot find a trade partner in the next month to get underneath the luxury tax, and they don't think they'll be able to find one during the season, well, maybe they do ultimately waive Fontecchio on that deadline or just before it to get underneath the tax and save them some money, also free up a roster spot. And if you're under the tax by 3.9 mil, you could then sign another vet min free agent and add a player to the roster, as well as still be underneath the luxury tax. So what say you? Let me know your thoughts. Will the Heat waive Simone Fontecchio? Type W for waive, type K for keep. Let me know your thoughts. It's the pinned comment on today's show. I personally believe that waiving Simone Fontecchio would be a mistake by the Miami Heat. I do not think it is a smart decision. I get the benefits financially, as well as freeing up a roster spot to potentially add a big man. But if you're that concerned about the money, just make a different trade with Fontecchio. I have a hard time believing that there is no value for Simone around the league where you can get a salary in return that's closer to $5-6 million, and you save enough money to get underneath the luxury tax, or making a deal with a player like Haywood Highsmith, making a deal like with a player like Terry Rozier or Andrew Wiggins throughout the year. You only have to get underneath the luxury tax by the end of the regular season next April to avoid the luxury tax. So to me, I just don't understand rushing into this. And if you are under the belief there's just no world where you can make a trade where you can save $1.4 million to get out the tax from now until the deadline, well, that just to me tells me that you aren't really a good front office, which we might know that might be the case anyway. But personally, another reason why I think it's a mistake is I think Fontecchio could be good for the Miami Heat. We actually did a video on Simone about 2 weeks ago, and I just feel like he's going to be a contributor for this Heat basketball team. He's been in the NBA for 3 years after being signed, after being a professional in Europe for most of his career. He had a tough start in his rookie year for the Jazz, but then got traded to the Pistons in the 23-24 year, where he had the best season of his career. And he played so well between Detroit and Utah that he earned a 2-year contract extension worth $16 million with the Pistons. Didn't get a lot of playing time this past season, and then obviously in the last year of his deal was part of the sign and trade for Duncan Robinson. He's got good size to him, listed at 6'7", 205 with a solid 6'11 wingspan. So a very solid plus wingspan. that helps him get off a high release 3-point shot, as well as be a little bit of a disruptor on the defensive end. Like, to me, this is a guy that when I watch his tape, when I watch his film, I feel pretty solid about him potentially being a good contributor for this basketball team, and I'll explain more here in a second. But if you want daily Miami Heat coverage on YouTube for 100% free, this is the channel for you. And when the season returns in the fall, we'll be live for Heat basketball games as well. So subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything around this basketball team. Let's get back to Simone Fontecchio now, because when I watch his highlights, when I watch his film, there are a couple of things that stand out to me. One, his positional size. He can play 2, he can play the 3, he can play the 4. I think he is a 6'7" shooting guard at times. He can play the 3, that's his natural position, and he can play small ball 4 if the opposing team is also going small ball as well. I wouldn't want him guarding any big men. So he's got good positional size. He competes defensively, but the part that I really like is his ability to shoot the 3 ball. He is a movement shooter with a lightning quick release, and it's got a high release point as well. So when you combine his quick release, his release point, it's a shot that is very hard to contest. It's a shot that is really hard to get a piece of. Now, it's not all roses and rainbows around Fontecchio. He's got a very limited on-ball creation package, which we're not going to ask him to do anyway. It's just a negative on him. He's not the biggest athlete either, and he's not the best finisher around the rim. He is someone who easily can get to the rim on off-ball cuts, but he is going to be a 3-point shooter. He's going to be someone who gets out in transition. But another reason why I really liked him, this is a hard-nosed player, physical, gritty, that does anything to win. He is not trying to play basketball for his own personal stats and accolades. No, he's in it because he is a competitor and he wants to win every time he steps foot on the basketball court. This is a player that Erik Spoelstra should like a lot, because if we know anything about Spo over the last 15 years, we know that he doesn't really care about stats. We know that points per game and statistics matter to win, but the little things, defensive, rotations, being in the right spots offensively, these are things that Fontecchio excels at that contribute to winning that we know Erik Spoelstra values at a very high rate. He's also just a really good 3-point shooter. We showed his career 3-point statistics on screen a little bit ago, but if you look at his 3-point attempt rate this past season in Detroit, it was 60.9%, which means basically 61% of his shot attempts came from beyond the arc. That ranks in the 84th percentile. That is where the primary shots that he takes come from. And it's something that Miami is certainly going to need after losing Duncan Robinson. Their 3-point shooting off the bench is not very there right now. It's not good. So Fontecchio could provide that, which is another reason why I think it would be a mistake to waive him. It would also be a mistake to miss out on this unbelievable sale going on right now. If you go to chatsports.com/heat sale, very easy link. It's in the description and comments of today's video. This hoodie, no joke, 56% off. Usually $120, right now available for $53. I have never seen a deal like this before. I had to make sure you were alerted. One more time, chatsports.com/heat sale. Links in the description and comments of today's video. When you look at what Fontecchio did offensively from a year ago, this is how he was used in Detroit. 35.5% on spot-ups, 25.9% transition, which just speaks to his ability to defend and create havoc and get out in transition. He was used 9.6% in handoffs, 5.8% off in screens, and 4.7% on cuts. And the part that is intriguing to me is the 9.6% in handoffs. If we look back a year from now, Fontecchio played out the year in Miami. I think that number on handoffs is going to be closer to 15%, because we know Miami used Duncan Robinson in the DHO so often with Bam Adebayo, and I'm not saying that Fontecchio will be able to do it at the same efficient rate that Duncan did, because I don't think there is many players in the NBA that can do that same type of skill set that Robinson had. It will be a loss, there's no doubt about it, but I would expect the Heat to try to use Simone in that vein, not completely, but a little bit. The point is, he is a glue guy on the offensive end. He is used off ball. He can be used on ball. You can set a screen for him on a pin down, a curl to free him up to get into his three-point shot. So I am very excited about the idea of Fontecchio for us offensively if the Miami Heat end up keeping him. More that I like, his defensive prowess. I think he's going to be someone that can be disruptive and a good connecting piece for our offensive or for our defensive sets. He ranked in the 72nd percentile in our defensive adjusted turnovers. That is what that statistic stands for. And when you look at his defensive rebound numbers as well, he ranked in the 80th percentile. So he rebounds, he forces turnovers. It's something that Miami will really like. And he's versatile as well. He had a versatility score on Crafted NBA of 62.3, 67th percentile. So not elite by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly above average. He can guard 2 through 4. He can guard twos. He can guard wings. He can guard small ball power forwards due to his size, 6'7", 6'11" wingspan. I just really think he is going to be someone that surprises Heat fans. I won't be surprised. I think he's going to be an excellent end-of-the-rotation guy, like that 8th, 9th man. And now throughout the course of the season, when injuries occur, he'll be able to step in and play off the bench. I get it. You want to see Haywood. You want to see Jovic. You want to see Jaquez. But the point is, I just like having good basketball players on my team. I think Simone Fontecchio is a good basketball player, and I hope the Heat keep him and don't end up waiving him and find a different move they can make throughout the season to get underneath the luxury tax. But if the Heat make any move, we will have you covered here at the channel. So subscribe today for daily coverage. And if you're still watching and aren't subscribed, you obviously like what we're doing. So don't miss out on any more content we put out. Subscribe now.